Got a little blues and R&B. Bobby Bland at number 28 on Billboard's Hot 100 of March 2nd, 1963. And the song is called Call on Me. But let me give you some of the other big hits that you might remember from that week. Put this all in perspective, of course. Billboard's Hot 100 as we get into the spring of 1963. Rhythm of the Rain by the Cascades. That was at number 4. From a Jack to a King by Ned Miller at number 8. Wild Weekend, that rockin' instrumental by the Rebels at number 9. And Our Day Will Come by Ruby and the Romantics is on here. Send Me Some Lovin' by Sam Cooke. Well, that's a Lost 45 right there. And so is this one. He's Sure the Boy I Love. Remember that one? By the Crystals. That was at number 17. The girl group's really big in 1963. Oh gosh, what was this? Phil Spector on the roll in 1963. Producer Phil Spector and his Wall of Sound. Up on the Roof at number 23 by the Drifters. And we got Call on Me by Bobby Bland at number 28 on Billboard's Hot 100. Real name, Robert Calvin Brooks, from a very small town in Tennessee. But with his mother, he moved to Memphis in 1947. Did not graduate from high school. But no matter, got a lot of his education at Beale Street. And what an education that was when he teamed up with the legends, the blues, the R&B legends of B.B. King and Junior Parker and Johnny Ace. They formed these ad hoc singing groups. Well, he was in there. Bobby Bland was in there amongst the big ones. He became big himself. God, this guy was huge on R&B. 50s, 60s, and 70s. Had about 50, 55 R&B hits. This guy did, and there's some that he came out with that should have crossed over big time on the pop charts. But I'll get into that in just a minute. He signed with Duke Records in about 1950 or in the early 50s. He recorded some singles that were not of any consequence. His singing career was interrupted somewhat when he joined the U.S. Army. He was in the Army for a couple of years. He might have been drafted. But get this, while he was in the Army, he sang in a band. Guess who else was in that band? Eddie Fisher. I mean, we're talking about diametrically opposite people, Eddie Fisher and Bobby Bland. Kind of like when Jimi Hendrix was opening for the Monkees, just something like that a little bit. After the Army, he came back to Memphis, and he rejoined. He re-signed with Duke Records. Now, by then, Duke Records was under an entrepreneur from Houston. His name was Don Roby. Now, the thing about Bobby Bland was he couldn't read his contract. Don Roby had to help him sign it. And Don Roby might have taken advantage of him a little bit. I'll tell you why. Because according to the contract, Bobby Bland will get half a cent, just half a cent per record sold. Of course, that adds up. If you sell, like, say, about 10,000 records, I mean, that will add up to maybe a considerable sum of money, particularly back in the 50s. But the standard rate, that was way below the standard rate of 2 cents per record sold in the 50s. First R&B hit, though, further up the road, and it was a big one back in 1957. His big crossover was Turn On Your Love Light, 1961, and that's pretty much it. Now, here in the South, one of his songs that got a lot of airplay here in the South was Poverty back in 1966. Good Time Charlie was another great record that he did, but they never became big on the pop charts. His bread and butter was R&B. I remember a local R&B radio station I grew up with. They used to advertise for Bobby Bland all the time. Bobby Bland would be playing here. Bobby Bland would be playing there. Real big on R&B. Bobby Bland going into the late 70s. Bobby Bland. Is number one. There was a number one. This would not be his last top 10 R&B hit, but his last number one, That's the Way Love Is 1963. Call on Me came after that. That went to number 5 or number 6 on R&B in 1963. But on Billboard's Hot 100, it got up as high as number 22, which is pretty respectable. That's not bad. 22, if you peak at 22, well, heck, that's a lot better than peaking at 92 or 82. And it was on Billboard's Hot 100 for 12 weeks. Upbeat, great R&B record, very smooth sounding too. Almost sounds like a Marv Johnson record, or maybe even a Drifters record a little bit. Call on Me by Bobby Bland, coming in at number 28 on Billboard's Hot 100 of March 2nd, 1959.